Alright, so in this video we're going to talk about image editing. This is my 50,000th time making this video as per usual because something always goes wrong. So anyway, first we'll create a new project and then we'll go down to the sprites and we'll make a new sprite. So when you create a new sprite, it's a square of some shape, looks like that. So this is the image editor. So this is what we're primarily talking about today, the stuff in this area here. We'll start off first. There's a square around the outside of the square. That square is actually the guide square. So if I turn that on and off, it shows up like that. And you can change the size of the guide to do that. So if you want to have a shape that's a particular size in pixels, you can set up a guide to check around that. So in Glitter, you don't normally set a specific size for an image. You just draw it in a larger area and it automatically crops it. So if you want to kind of make a square within a certain area, you can show the origin. So this little point in the middle is the position of the sprite. This doesn't have such an effect on the stage image, but that is the middle of the thing. Maybe at some point I will have it so you can set the origin to be somewhere. So maybe you want to have a sprite where it's quite big in that direction, but the origin point is there. Or the control point. This is the point that you control things from. There's a few other options here. There's some snap. You can snap the angle and you can snap when you're doing stuff. That just means it moves in blocks, which may or may not work anymore because I haven't used it for years. There are two ways of zooming in. You can use this little handy thing at the bottom and you can type in a value over here and use the little buttons, which is I've almost never ever used. Or you can just use the mouse wheel and just zoom in. There are several layers of zooming. When you're far out, it's just using the one style of graphics renderer to do it, and if you get closer you can see it's a little blurred. Not so obvious here, but it is, and then when you get closer it gets sharper and it switches over to a different renderer, and then it goes in here. That's just because I use Java FX, which is a Java library for doing the GUI, and it is difficult or impossible to get it to zoom in a sharp, chunky way. It has to blur things. Anyway, that's beside the point. So looking up the top, we have a whole bunch of buttons, and these are the interesting stuff. So if we click on this one, this is unsurprisingly a scribble. So you can kind of see it's a bit blurred there. If you get closer, it's sharper, and then you can zoom in, and then there's the line, so you can just draw the shapes. You also have lines. If you zoom out, you want to have a thicker line, you can just choose a thicker line, and you can go here and draw some thick lines. If you zoom in, you will see that they are actually very sharply defined. If you turn off pixel art, then when you zoom in, you will see that it is anti-aliased, so it gives a smoother look, which is how most things work these days. So this is only a raster, a bitmap editor at the moment. At some point there will be more advanced vector art and structured drawing tools, so there'll be layers. You have layer control somewhere over here, I guess, and you can choose to have a vector layer or a pixel layer. So I believe, I'm quite confident that the vector art is actually going to be easier to implement than the bitmap stuff. So there's a little bit less hassle in some circumstances. Anyway, so we continue on. So these four at the top, five at the top, are the instantaneous real-time operations. So I do that, I draw a square, cube, rectangle, not a cube. If I want it filled, I click on this thing here, and then when I draw it, it's a filled in one. And if I want it to be filled in with an outline, so you can see here that the preview will say this is yellow, it's going to have a red outline because yellow is the sub color and the prime color is red. So if I draw that, it looks like that. And if I choose the erase thing, it ignores these, and then it just erases whatever you would do. So there's no specific erase tool. It's like any tool can be used to erase things. So you could erase in the form of circles. So back to here, you can see that circles look like that, and they look like this. Make a nice little oval. And again, you can change the size of the thing so you can make it ridiculous. Surprise, surprise, it didn't work for some reason. Why doesn't it work? What? Interesting. I thought I was going to get away with not having a bug, but apparently I'm going to have a bug. It's decided to completely ignore this. Wait a moment, this doesn't make sense. Why does that happen? No, it works there, but then it doesn't. It does there. Okay, interesting. Well, I'll fix that for the next version. Anyway, going on, we have flood fill. So if I choose a different color, so that's oval, that's line. This is flood fill, this one here that is very badly drawn. Flood fill, if you click on it, it fills in a particular area with a color, and it's very precise, so it's not going to fill in this yellow, because this yellow is a slightly different yellow to the previous yellow. If you want to undo, this is undo over here, undo last, and if you want to redo it, you do that one there. But if you click on the history, you can see all the operations that we've done in this session. If you go back there, you can zoom out, and you can actually zoom all the way. You can actually go all the way back to the beginning, or you could go here, and then you can say, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to draw a giant circle here, and of course it's the wrong one. I'm going to draw that one there, and then I'm going to jump ahead. So it's inserted it in, and well, it didn't quite do it the way that I wanted it to, did it? Oh, interesting. Okay, maybe it doesn't work as well as I was hoping. But I feel like, no, it is. Why did it change the color? Did I change? Oh, okay, I changed the color. All right, it's fine. Anyway, so that's undo, redo the things. So there are, over here, there are some operations that are for a more structured way of doing things. So you can only do them one at a time. They don't add up. You don't have a whole bunch like in a vector editor where you can go back and change something. But if I draw a line, which is here, so there's a guideline in the middle, which isn't really necessary, but that's not that. So now I can adjust the line after I've drawn it, so it's not like before. And if I want to keep it, then I can just, if I change to a different operation, that's that line, it's just there. But so the same thing works with the does on the structured version, does it change? It does. Okay, it's just the unstructured version that doesn't. So now we can draw that, so then we can move it around. But if I want to make multiple ones of them, there are these little buttons here, clear, stamp, new. So clear will just get rid of what I did. So if I go clear, it will disappear and it won't be done. But if I go new, it will start again without me having to change operations. Sometimes these little white lines float for a second. It's an ongoing issue. Anyway, we'll get to what those white lines mean in a second. We're going to change, because this is getting a bit large. Again, so if I don't do that, if I click somewhere else, it's still stuck in this mode here. I have to new it to go and do a new one. They move around, they're annoying. I don't use them. What I use is the keyboard, but there's one last one, which is stamp. If I go stamp, then when I move it, you'll see that I've stamped it down, and then I'm making a new one. To do these with the keyboard, clear is delete. So if I go delete, it disappears. If I go spacebar, which I just did, there's a stamp. And if I want to go new, I just go escape, and then I'm starting the next one. All right. So these little white lines that don't always match up where they should be, which, oh my gosh, have I tried so many times. I don't know what I missed. It's a very simple thing. Anyway, and like I'm sure, I thought I had actually fixed that little quirk, but you can adjust things as before you stamp it, of course. But now you can rotate things. So you can rotate the cube around like that in a rather cute way, and then a little grey thing sometimes scales things proportionately. But these little white things, and also when you click on this one, it will move it in the rotated thing. So the control points rotate with it. And also these things, they let you move the entire side. And again, they just rotate, and then you can move it around. So, like so. It should actually scale the lines properly. Interesting. I'm using the wrong renderer, aren't I? Whoopsie. Again, I'll fix that in the future. But the point is, yeah, there's always going to be a little quirk with the outline of the shape because of skewing and things like that. But what really matters is we've done that. So you can do the same kind of thing with a circle like that, and then you can rotate it around. And the middle part moves it, so if I want to move it around, I have to click on the middle circle. Over here, we have the slightly more powerful but weird polygon tool, which always starts off as a triangle in the middle, which is a little annoying, but we'll fix that later on. Everything in this tool is an ongoing process in Glitter. So you can move points around and you can create that, and then you can rotate the shape and then add a new point over here. And you can scale it in a particular direction and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to add a point, you find where you want to add a point and then you double click and it will add a point onto the line, break the line that is closest to that point up and put the new point there. So if I put a point over here, it will add that one there. So double click to get the point. If you want to get rid of it, right mouse click and you can delete, or you can align some things so you can center it between those two and so on. But oh, it's gone and done the, doesn't quite work again. That's all right. You can delete it. Huh. There's always got to be something, doesn't there? What has happened? I can't believe this. I can't believe this weird error. That's fascinating. Look at that. I'm going to just get out of that and try again. What did I do wrong? What have I done wrong? Oh, no wonder. It's decided to change the... Oh, we've done this. Okay, this is an ongoing... So we're going to explain what's going on here. And I tried to fix this bug, and I'll double check it again. We'll go back here. This, whenever you do the right mouse button thing, it doesn't always work. So if you want to delete it, you can go delete. And it should be fine. Usually it's fine. The problem is there is another way. So the one thing I haven't talked about is, first off, you change the colors by clicking on that one thing. That's nice. We're going to do a side tour and we're going to open up an app. So this is K Color Chooser, nothing I made, but it's a standard thing in Linux. And you can choose your colors here, but you can also click and you can drag these, and if you drag it onto here, it will work. So you can do your color choosing in another tool if you want. And here you have this option where you can pick a screen color. So I can go here and I can pick a screen color, and then I've now got that color, and then I could drag that over onto here or something like that, right? Now, Glitter itself doesn't have this tool built in. There's no eyedropper tool. But if you go down and you say, and you're in the image and you want to pick up this color here. So if I use the right mouse button, it will set the color to that. So I can pick up orange, I can pick up that color, and I can pick up blue and so on. The only reason that I have this problem is that sometimes when you click on the right mouse button and you do this, and I've tried, like this should capture the thing, but what happens is sometimes, I'm just going to have to go through and double check, it's picking up the right mouse button click for the menu as well as picking up the color thing. So sometimes it gets confused and picks up the color in the background. But I will fix that. I will fix that. We're working on this. So, and I might change it that this is a different option. You might not go right mouse button. You might have to hold down control or something so that it doesn't get confused. And also, if you're using a Mac and you only have one button, that kind of stuff can come into it. Anyway, so that's how you pick up a color. So I think we've been through this. So we've got text. So text, you have to go back to the inspector and we can type in our text. Moo, moo, moo. We have to choose a font. We need a different color though. Choose that color. and then we'll choose that, and we'll do 50. So the stroke size does matter. So in general, you want the stroke to be there, and you want it to be filled text, and you want it to not be pixel art, and you want the color to be black. So we'll use black. Moo moo moo. So you can do that. You can make it bold, you can make it italics, you can change the font, you can move it around, you can go stamp, stamp, and put the text all over the show. And you can make it outline as I did, which you can't see at the moment because the outline's there. Then you can choose outline fill, so you can make nice text. So this built-in color palette, which is workspace, but it's just, you can't change them. That's the top 16 of the Commodore 64 colors, and those are standard EGA colors. So I wanted to choose white. So you can do like outline text, and that you can't do any special effects yet. Those I'll add again later on. At some point you could do neat little things like glow shadows and things like that, but because I changed the way everything works, you can't. But that's text. You can't rotate it yet, so that this doesn't work. But you can go to delete, so you can delete via text if you really want. Now we are going to go here. So if I want to copy and paste, when I click on the select box, it doesn't let me actually do it, though I think I will change that at some point to act like the rectangle drawing tool. It always gives you a default. So this tool and the polygon tool, they will have different options in the future where you can draw a polygon freehand and it will create it for you, simplified. And also you'll be able to just, when you click on this thing, you'll have to drag it first, so you don't have to move everything around. But anyway, once you've done that, it hasn't actually copied anything. You have to go copy, and so now it's copied the image, and then you can paste it, and sometimes it gets it in the same position, sometimes it doesn't. And then you're right there, you have your text. You can rotate it around. You might want to turn off, I think actually if it's pixel art or not, it will change the effect slightly because it's rotating it. So we've got that, and you can do the same. This works exactly the same as the rectangle tool. You can drive around and you can rotate and that kind of thing. You can also, so if we move it over to the side, if I have like this is a screenshot from a game I wrote when I was much younger. If you want to drag in a PNG or a GIF, JPEG, you can just drag it onto there and it will put it in the middle, and you can resize it as you want. You can sometimes drag and drop from web pages and things like that. So that works kind of okay usually. I'm trying to improve the drag and drop support. We're getting there. And so that's that. So that's cut, that's copy. And you can just use the keyboard, Control C, Control V, Control X, that kind of stuff. And that's most of those options. So over here we have some options to export it as a PNG or a JPEG if you want to use it somewhere else. Just noting that it automatically crops the image, so it won't set it to a particular size. You can flip and rotate set amounts if you want. You can center everything, and you can shift everything up and down by 1 pixel. That's the last resort. If you probably should add some keyboard shortcuts for that one. And you can clear the image. So we've got that. You can't change the pixel density. So Scratch has like higher density. So where it says it's 1 pixel, it's actually 2 pixels across and 2 pixels down. And this thing supports that, but it doesn't tell you what it is. And just ignores it and doesn't let you change it. But at some point it will. And lastly, we've got colliders. So if you want to add colliders, but I might make a separate video about that, just because I'm running a bit out of time. But basically, every sprite, in order to function with collisions properly in every output, like in the HTML and the internal running thing, it doesn't do the sprite-to-sprite collisions like Scratch does, where you do a pixel-to-pixel comparison, where if a pixel was touching the other pixel of one sprite touching the pixel of another sprite, that's a collision. You have to put in bounding boxes, but there are no boxes. It's just circles. So you have to define by chucking in a bunch of circles where the collisions are. But you can also add in points. So this is a point that if this point is touching a circle on another sprite, that counts as a collision. So you can make some complicated collision style things. So don't ask me how to delete points. How do you delete points? I think I've forgotten how to do that. All right. Well, that will be the next version when we can delete a point. It's here. Oh, you have to click on this thing here. All right, that deletes it and brings it back. So yeah, in the future points there will be boxes you can't rotate, boxes you can rotate, and generalized polygons for collisions. Some of those will be supported for a simplistic but useful physics engine to make platform games and simple car racing, overhead car racing games and things like that. And if you want to copy, if you have multiple costumes in your sprite editor, so if you want to make a new costume, you click on that one, and then you've got here. Then you can copy to other costumes, and then if I go down here and I click on that, you'll see that this now has the collisions. So if you have lots of different images for your sprite, but they all have the same bounding box, you have to either set them independently, or you have to do it on one and then copy to the other ones. So there's no global collisions for the entire sprite just yet, but there will be, as some of the ways this program works changes a bit to be more flexible. Those things will come in. So that's collisions, that's all that. So this is how you change the variable name of the sprite. So you can give it like of the costume, so moo, and then in here you go flag frames.moo.switch, and that means go to that costume. You can just say go set costume, but then you have to use the name here. So it says new, so you have to go moo. The label is like just for reference, but it comes from the Scratch import stuff. So in Scratch, costume names can have spaces and other characters in it, but variable names can't have. Did I not change that? Use variable names can't have spaces or too many weird characters in it. So, but the thing that you have to use here is moo with the space, because I've got a space in there now. But if we go back there, get rid of the space. So make sure you get rid of the empty spaces. That's just basically for Scratch compatibility. So I think that is pretty much all of the features. Yeah, this is to add a sprite from the library if you've got that set up. This is to upload from your computer, like upload a file, and that's to create a new sprite to work on. And yes, that's it. So thanks for watching, and hopefully this time I recorded it with sound and that it works. Though my microphone is flashing yellow, which means it's got the sample rate incorrect, but that's okay. Thanks for watching, and bye.